There is a moisture problem in your house right now. Maybe you can't see it yet. Maybe it's the fog on the bedroom window in the morning. Maybe it's the bathroom mirror that stays wet too long. Maybe it's the closet that smells stale. Maybe it's the dark line creeping into the corner of a wall. Maybe it's the soft paint around a window frame. Maybe it's the basement that never feels fully dry no matter how many moisture absorbers you buy. And the strangest part is this. The fix that works fastest in most homes costs absolutely nothing. Not $20, not $190, not a premium moisture solution, not a contractor visit, not a miracle bucket of crystals, zero. Because the real trick is not a product, it's a timing method. A way of moving air through your home at the exact moment moisture becomes vulnerable. And once you understand it, you start seeing why so many people lose the fight against dampness while doing all the right things. They heat the house, they spray the wall, spray. They run a fan in the wrong room, they crack one window all day, they buy another gadget, but the moisture stays. Why? Because they're fighting wet air without understanding when to remove it, where it's collecting, and what actually carries moisture through a house in the first place. And builders almost never explain this. They'll talk about insulation, they'll talk about drywall, they'll talk about paint, sealants, vents, membranes, flashing, drainage planes, all of that matters. But when it comes to the day-to-day moisture that causes fogged glass, musty rooms, damp corners, and mold-friendly surfaces, the missing lesson is simpler. Moisture rides on air. And if you move the air correctly, you can dump the moisture load before it condenses. That is the whole secret. And here's how it works. The zero trick is this. Do a short, hard moisture purge instead of a long, lazy ventilation leak. Not one window cracked all afternoon. Not letting humid air wander around the house for 6 hours. Not hoping the dampness sorts itself out. A fast purge, 5 to 10 minutes. 2 openings, not one. Opposite sides if possible. Low and high if possible. Interior doors open. Wet rooms first. And you do it when the outdoor air is actually drier than the air trapped inside. That last part changes everything. Because most people think humidity is about how the air feels. It isn't. It's about how much water vapor that air is carrying and whether that vapor is about to hit a cold surface and turn into liquid. That's when windows sweat. That's when closet corners go musty. That's when bathroom ceilings spot. That's when the back of furniture starts smelling old. That's when you get that clean house, dirty air feeling. So let me give you the science in plain English. Warm air can hold more moisture than cold air. The moment that warm, wet indoor air touches a colder surface, glass, exterior walls, tile, concrete, uninsulated corners, it can reach its dew point. And when that happens, the moisture leaves the air and becomes water. Not theory, not metaphor. Actual water. That's what you're seeing on the window. That's what feeds mold. That's what ruins trim, paint, caulk, and drywall over time. And this is why the average homeowner gets tricked. They think the moisture problem is the surface. It isn't. The surface is just the witness. The real problem is the wet air that was never removed. Here's the part almost nobody teaches clearly. Most moisture inside a lived-in home is homemade. You create it. Every shower, every pot of boiling water, every load of laundry, every long bath, every damp towel, every wet dog, every room full of sleeping people with the door shut. And in a tighter house, that moisture doesn't just disappear. It stays. It floats room to room. It hides in colder zones. It settles into underventilated spaces. It reaches a cold surface. And then it turns from invisible vapor into visible damage. So people throw products at what is really an air management problem. A moisture tub in the closet, a fragrance plug-in in the hallway, a fresh coat of bathroom paint, a tiny fan pointed at the wrong wall, a cracked window in one room while the rest of the house stays sealed. That is not moisture control. That is moisture delay. The real method is faster and harsher. You remove the wet air in one concentrated burst. You don't babysit it. You eject it. That's why a short purge often beats a window left half open for hours. The long crack cools surfaces, wastes heat, and often doesn't create enough air exchange to dump the moisture where it counts. The short purge creates movement. Movement creates replacement. Replacement lowers the moisture load. And once the moisture load drops, condensation drops. That is the method. Here's exactly what you do. Step 1. Identify the moisture moment. There are 4 big ones in a normal house. After showers, after cooking, after laundry or indoor drying, and early morning, when the house has been closed up all night and windows start showing condensation. Those are your purge windows. That's when wet air is concentrated and easy to remove. Step 2. Check the outside air. This is critical. If the outside air is swampy, sticky, and heavy, Do not invite it in and call that moisture control. That's how people in humid climates make the house worse. If it's cooler and drier outside, perfect. If it's winter and the outside air is cold and dry, even better. A brief opening can dump a shocking amount of indoor moisture fast. If it's midsummer and the outdoor air is wet, use your air conditioner, proper exhaust, or dehumidifier instead of throwing open windows and importing a new problem. Step 3. Open 2 points, not 1. Opposite sides of the room or house if possible, front and back. Kitchen and hallway, bathroom window and bedroom window, upstairs window and downstairs door if you're using stack effect. You want a path. Moisture doesn't leave efficiently when it has nowhere to go. 1 cracked window is a suggestion. 2 openings create a command. Step 4, open the interior doors in the wet zone, bathroom door, laundry room, closet doors if they've been staying cold and stale, bedroom door if windows sweat overnight. Why? Because trapped rooms trap moisture, and cold rooms are condensation magnets. Step 5, purge hard for 5 to 10 minutes. Not an hour, not all day. 5 to 10 minutes of real exchange is often enough to slash the moisture load without overcooling the structure. This is the part people get wrong. The goal is not to refrigerate the house. The goal is to replace wet indoor air with drier air before the moisture settles into surfaces. Step 6. If you have an exhaust fan that actually vents outdoors, run it during the purge. Bathroom fan. Kitchen hood. Anything that truly exits outside, not into an attic or wall cavity. Now you're not just hoping for movement, you're directing it. Step 7. Close the house back up once the wet air is gone. That's it. Short, clean, targeted. That is the $0 trick. Here's what happens when you do this correctly. The bathroom mirror clears faster. The wet smell leaves the room. Window condensation drops. Closets stop feeling sour. Cold corners dry out instead of feeding mildew. Your house starts feeling lighter, not just warmer. And that happens because you changed the load. Not the paint, not the wall, not the weather. The load. This is the same reason some homes mysteriously feel dry and healthy while others always feel 1 shower away from mildew. It's not always because one house has better materials. Sometimes it's because one house gets purged and the other gets marinated. That's the difference. If your bathroom ceiling gets spotty every winter, do the purge right after the shower. Not 30 minutes later, right after. If your bedroom windows fog in the morning, purge the bedroom as soon as you wake up, then crack the bedding back and let trapped moisture leave instead of sealing it into the room. If your closet smells musty, stop packing it tight to an exterior wall, open it during the purge, and let that cold, dead air pocket exchange with the rest of the house. If your kitchen stays sticky after dinner, don't just leave one little window ajar, open a second point and clear the whole moisture pulse at once. If your basement feels heavy, remember this. If the moisture is coming from wet air, purge helps. If the moisture is coming through the wall or slab, purge is not the cure. That needs drainage, grading, sealing, vapor control, or a dehumidifier. This $0 trick removes airborne moisture load. It does not fix liquid water intrusion. If rainwater is entering through the foundation, this is not your fix. If a pipe is leaking, this is not your fix. If your crawl space is open dirt with no vapor barrier, this is not your fix. If your dryer vents indoors, this is not your fix. If your bathroom fan dumps into the attic, this is not your fix. If your home sits at high humidity all summer because the outdoor air is wetter than the indoor air, you may need air conditioning, a dehumidifier, better exhaust, or better air sealing. Do not confuse ventilation with correct ventilation. That mistake costs people years because bad ventilation can absolutely add moisture instead of removing it. The trick works when the air you're bringing in is drier than the air you're dumping out. That is the rule. Break that rule and you're just moving the problem around. Here are the 5 moisture mistakes that quietly wreck houses. Mistake 1, leaving one window cracked all day. This often cools surfaces, wastes energy, and fails to create enough exchange to purge wet air. Mistake 2, ventilating during peak outdoor humidity. If the outdoor air feels like a wet towel, don't invite it in and call it strategy. Mistake 3, pushing furniture tight against cold exterior walls. No airflow, cold surface, hidden condensation zone, perfect mold habitat. Mistake 4, closing off unused rooms completely. People think they're saving money. Sometimes they're just creating cold pockets where moisture condenses. Mistake 5, treating symptoms instead of sources, painting over a damp corner, washing mold without lowering humidity, using fragrance instead of airflow. That is cosmetic maintenance, not moisture control. And there's one more mistake builders and homeowners both make. They underestimate how much moisture normal life produces. A shower is not small. Boiling water is not small. Wet clothes indoors are not small. Even breathing overnight in a closed room is not small. Moisture is quiet, but it is relentless. You have to be more intentional than it is. So why does this method feel ignored? Because it's hard to package. Nobody can box up timed cross ventilation and sell it for $79.99. Nobody can slap a shiny label on "open the right windows for 7 minutes at the right time." And builders don't usually live in the house the way you do. They deliver the shell. You live the moisture cycle. You take the showers. You boil the pasta. You dry the towels. You close the bedroom door. You notice the smell. You see the fogged glass. And if nobody teaches you the rhythm of moisture, you end up buying things for a problem that needed timing more than money. That's the trap. So here's the rule I want you to remember. When moisture is created, remove it early, remove it fast, and remove it with a path. Early, fast, with a path, not later, not lazily, not randomly. If you remember only that, you will understand more about home moisture than most people who have spent years fighting it, because the houses that stay dry are usually not the houses with the most products. They're the houses where moisture doesn't get time to settle. Tomorrow morning, before you buy anything, test it. After a shower, open 2 points and purge for 5 to 10 minutes. After cooking, do it again. Open the bathroom, open the path, move the air, dump the wet load, close back up. Then watch what happens to the mirror, the window, the smell, the closet, the cold corner. The trick was never hidden in a machine, it was hidden in physics. And once you understand that, the whole house changes.